Okay, let's open up the inheritance HTML. So here you have the example of inheritance going on, and these are just different concepts that influence your design of your styling, your CSS styling. Inheritance theory describes how one rule can be affected by one or more previously declared rules. So as you can see, we have H1 here. See the H1? Well, look at that. On line 9, we have another H1. So now let's look at how that occurrence. See that's not a typo. That's intentional. So it can affect rules of the same name. And let's see how the CSS formatting. You saw there are two H1 elements, and then you saw that there are the H2 and H3 and P. Oops. And here they're going to have you take that H2 selector and then put a div to replace it. And then you're going to just delete number 3, H3 and 2, or P. So the one rule is now formatting 3 different elements. And so the div tag is what you're finding is going to be impacted by these other tags. So there's influence going on from one style to the other. More than just, you're starting to see relationships that take place in the document, not just the simple, this belongs to H1, this belongs to H1, this belongs to the div tag. Now you're going to see how when you like flip on the light switch, it stays flipped on in your document until the light changes. That's what inheritance you begin to realize is that as you turn on things, they will stay turned on as you go into other elements in your web page. So that's the concept of inheritance. Yeah. So descendant theory, now the other one, this inheritance was as you flow down in your document, things flow with you. It's kind of like it's a river going down and collecting debris as it goes down. The debris comes with it. It's the same concept with CSS. The color and so on inherits and can influence downward. Descendant, now you go, it's like you're going into a house. And the house has to start with, in this example, like a div tag, and then you have to go inside the room, the H1. So the descendant theory is you have to begin going inside other tags for these rules to apply, and they have a space between those. So let's open up the descendant one. And so here we have a space. What that means is first look for the div tag, and then once you found that, go further until you find the next H1 tag. So here's the first div tag. So this is the HTML code. These are the rules. These are the styling directions that we have right here. And now you're going to see how you can pinpoint a particular tag within another tag. So what this means is inside. H1 tag inside a div tag, and there it is, H1 inside the div tag. Because you can see the div tag doesn't close until over here, and you can see that H1 is fully encapsulated. Now that's what that inheritance means. So, or excuse me, descendant. Now specificity is where, so all these concepts are taking place, and all these influence your design process here. And this here, occasionally, if the browser encounters rules that conflict, the specificity is how a browser weighs one as a winner over another. We have an H1 tag. Now these are commented out right now, but then we have an H1 tag that's inside a div tag, but here we have an H1 tag that's inside the div tag whose name is product, or whose class is product. So they got a lot going on. It's like which rule here is going to impact the H1? So does that one impact the H1, or does this one because it's an H1 within a div tag, or is it this one because it's H1 within a div tag whose name, whose class is product? So all three of these rules apply, but they're, as you can see, they're conflicted: blue, red, and green, and the different fonts. So the weight or the specificity is how you can nail down with the @ symbol, how you can nail down exactly which ones will dominate. It's because they're all commented out. That's why, DJ. Pardon me. This code navigator is, when it's activated, has a little, like, what do you call it? I can't think of the word. It's like on a ship, you've got a steering wheel, I think. So the different colors, you uncomment this out, and then they end up becoming. So this one is winning out right there. Yeah, it's commented out right now, or it was. See that right there? Or you can do Option, Command N. That's the indicator, but you want to keep it enabled. So Option, Command, and click. And this is the indicator. You can see it gives you exact context of where you are. That's called the Code Navigator icon. Formatting objects. Now you can, so you open the width. So now we have a class attribute and we give it a name. And so now we can pinpoint the class by its given name, by the class. So that box 2 is going to be associated with that class. So you can see the navigator shows up over here too. I'm just going to keep going here. It's because I need to wrap it up. I need to get in chapter 4. Borders and backgrounds, margins and padding. Then to get into positioning, that's when you can really do your design. There's your, see how you're designing with boxes here? So if it's a class name, that means you can have a lot of different tags that are of the same class. And when they do, you can end up having a style for just that class of all the ones that have the class. And that's a class starts with a dot. Or you can use another method, which is creating an ID. And here you pinpoint individual IDs have to be unique. Classes, lots of elements can use this, be of the same class. But IDs, only one element can have the same ID. And if it's an ID, then your CSS will be associated with a hashtag. So there's one item that's going to be contact info and one item that's going to be disclaimer. Just one. The ID is mutually exclusive. Class, on the other hand, means lots of them can have it. It's just another way of pinpointing and grouping attributes, style information. You can use classes or IDs. Now we're getting into the full aspect of the that CSSN style that we opened up here. This is the CSS style, and so here we've already looked at how to make style directives with these selectors. We haven't yet talked about these in the textbook. Now here we have class page wrapper, class intro. There's a descendant right there. Remember, H2 within a header. Class. All classes along here. And this is descendant going on as well as class. I don't see any IDs being used here. But basically, it's chapter 3, and now you're reading the most complex, or at least seeing at a high level, the most complex CSS style directives. All right, so that chapter probably should take you 2 hours, maybe a little bit more. We went over it in about an hour, and we were going fairly quickly. So I would at least double the time that they recommended. Now, here are the review questions. And remember, it's going to be like last week. Your assessment will be based upon these. It won't be the same questions, but it's important for you to read. Should you still use HTML-based formatting? And now here's the answer. No, HTML-based formatting was deprecated. Deprecated means it was like it's put on the out to pasture. And like put out to pasture, it's on the not happy list. Doing your formatting inside the HTML is kind of like gone out of style back in 1997. It's like wearing white socks. You don't want to do it. When HTML4 was adopted, industry best practices recommend using CSS-based formatting instead. So beginning in 1997, HTML4 came out. That's when CSS1 was released, or maybe I think it was possibly 2 at that point. Okay, what does CSS impose on each HTML element? CSS imposes an imaginary box on each element and can then apply borders. Remember that? Background, colors and images, margins, padding, and other types of formatting. So that's how you approach it with the box. That's why they call it the box element or approach. So what does it impose? It imposes an imaginary box. True or false? If you do nothing, HTML elements will feature no formatting or structure. What do you think? It's false. They have to have some font size. They have to have some color, it's black, but they have to have that. So even if you're doing nothing, many HTML elements feature built-in formatting. They'll have a size, font typically, H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, all those, H6, font face, color, it's all there. So don't think that if you don't, that HTML elements just by themselves, all bare, don't have any assumed, it's called the default formatting. So it's assumed to be there. You just modify what's assumed with your CSS. What 4 theories affect the application of CSS formatting? And that's what we went over tonight. Cascade, inheritance, descendant, and specificity. Remember that cascade, the external style sheet, embedded, inline. Inheritance, that's when whatever you put into effect, it's like a river flowing down, it collects debris as it goes down in your document, and it inheritance, things inherit what's flowing down from above. Other directives, remember, you can have more than one directive for a given tag. Descendant, that's when it's like you find a tag inside another tag. It's kind of like you go into a home, and inside the home you find the descendants of a mom and dad. Same concept here. And those are or that's how you identify and locate those CSS or those tags that you're affecting. And specificity finally says what's going to win out when there's a conflict. When you have a conflict of rules. So those are the things that are going on when you're designing. So good. Number 5, what's the difference between block and inline elements? Block elements create standalone structures. Inline elements appear at the insertion point. Now what that means is a standalone structure, it means how is your content formatted in your standalone structures would be like the P for paragraph, H1, that creates content that's like standalone. Whereas on the other hand, the insertion point, the standalone block and inline element. So that's like a block. It's like you can put a big block around that area, whereas the other option here, the insertion point, what that means is like you have right inside the block, you have something that's bolded, for example. That one example we saw back a couple pages where they had a border around the big sections, and then they had a border right around the words too. Remember, we had the rule that applied to not only the H1 tag, and the P tag, which are block, but also the emphasis and the strong. So the emphasis and the strong were examples of the inline, and whereas the other ones were examples of block. So block elements create standalone structures. Inline elements appear at the insertion point. In other words, insertion point meaning wherever your cursor places them, it starts and stops them. True or false, CSS3 features are all experimental and you should not use them at all. False, many CSS features are already supported by modern browsers and can be used today. So keep in mind that it's taking time for HTML5. When will HTML5 and CSS3 be finalized? It's still in flux. It is not done. Oh, look at that, October 2014. I've seen this date before too. Maybe the person was being sarcastic when they said that. Okay, so there's the date. Last call, candidate recommendation. See, this is the process that they go through, the committee goes through in recommending the language, HTML version 5. And it goes through the whole process of recommendation and approval. See, there it is. HTML5 was released as a stable W3C recommendation, meaning the specification process is complete. So in specifying it, now the developers of the browsers have to take that specification and now they have to adapt their browser to be able to read all those codes. Oh, look at this. They have plans for other releases. HTML version 5.1, HTML version 5.2. Now, as these come out, the language changes just a little bit. It's really an evolution of the language. So HTML will evolve and CSS will evolve also as time goes on. So go ahead and start using them because browsers are starting to use them already. So what browsers support HTML5 and CSS3? Yeah, right there. Here's a link. This tells you what versions of browsers will support. I think I've got those all turned off. What versions of the browsers will support what? So this is something you have to keep in mind. I don't think that's a great link. Yeah, this is a good website. I'll paste this one. If you really want to know what you can do in what browser and when you can do it, this is a good one. See this? CSS. It's a whole website dedicated to when you can use what for which browsers. Click on one of these. See, here's the whole list of CSS. It's the individual features, most popular ones. Here's the list of HTML5. Here's the JavaScript API. Anyways, so you come to this website and you go, now I'd love to make this one particular, do this one particular thing. Well, click on it and this will tell you what browsers support that. So here's Internet Explorer version 8, 9, 10, 11 will support this particular tag. Firefox versions 31 through 40. Chrome versions 31 through 45. And the red, I think, means no plans. Green means it does support it. Sorry, red is a stop sign, green is a go. So you have to be really careful about, if you get really fancy in using all the different things you can do, you kind of have to be careful, because not all browsers will let you do and will support doing that. It's really difficult to be a developer of a browser, because as those languages come out, you have to immediately start implementing all the support. But as you can see, that companies respond differently to the different tags that come out. Chrome takes it on, Firefox is like, no. Opera, yes. Android browser, yes. And finally in version 40, and Chrome for Android version 42. As you can see, it's up to the developer of the browser to decide when and if they're going to support some of these features. See, now that one's almost fully supported. That's the CSS background attachment. And anyways, you don't need to know all this stuff. I'm just giving you the website to, if someday you decide to start getting into this, that's where you can find out where, it's fairly complex. You don't want to just start coding knowing full well that you might not be able to accommodate everybody. All right, well, 7:53, and we're just now getting into the page layout. Let's see. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 103. '69, '70, 103, so it's 33 pages. I think we should call it a night. It's been 2 hours already. Let me quickly go over it and see what the, because I just want to go over it quickly to we can go over it later, but purpose of the website, this is who is the customer, how do they get here. Yeah, there's some of the links that I showed you tonight. Where are they coming from? What browsers are they using? What operating system? What size of display are they using? So you can see the difference. They can come to your website with a computer, or they can come to your website with a cell phone, and it's going to be completely different. This here is each page, each square is a different web page on your website. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 web pages. And to go from home, you can go from home, you can click on any of these links. If you're here, then you can click on these links. So this is called a thumbnail or a wireframe. This is both are. This is the hierarchical sitemap. This is the wireframe that I was referring to, where you can design menus across the top and content areas. You can just scribble. You don't need to write anything. It's just a design of. There's a logo, and this is called a wireframe. By the way, there's a great tool, Balsamiq, web design tool. fact, what I'll do is I'll show you what you can create with Balsamiq. I really wish that Balsamiq were built into Dreamweaver, because it's pretty cool, because these Balsamiq images, it's a way to interactively create your website. And the cool thing about it is you drag and drop these controls and then press a button and it creates the design. It's just nice. So using Balsamiq, you can design this. See, it gives you these already to work with. You're not creating those from scratch. Let me see. I might offer to. Let me see if we can. If we rearrange these weeks, let's see. The content. That's these two chapters. What I want to do is see. No, I didn't mean to type on that one. Because we don't do anything in week 4. We don't have any new content. See, the tests, though, are built upon week 2. Yeah, I'm really tempted to, because we have this problem with CSS in the textbook, I'm really tempted to become really lenient with our deadlines, because the school doesn't have a textbook for the people with CSS, and that was their mistake in not foreseeing this. So I'm thinking that I want to become really flexible, because it's just having the CSS or the CC, some of the students having CC is just making this more difficult. So I think what I'll do is I will eliminate any late policy for week 2. Eliminate any late penalty for week 2. And I may do that again for week 3. So for right now, I'm going to call an audible here. And I'm going to make it so that there is no late penalty for any week 2 homework. I think that that will be a positive for everybody. Yeah, that's right, Beth. So it's official. No late penalty for week 2 assignment. No late penalty for week 2 assignments. But I still, discussion is still necessary for Saturday night. Let's see, and then daily checkpoints, obviously. The assessment, I think I'm going to do that too. No late penalty either. So, discussions. Oh, let's see. Yeah, let's just go. Discussions must be done, but the other ones, I'm going to be really lenient. No late penalties. All right, for this week, and hopefully that will help everybody. Does anybody have any questions for me before we adjourn? Currently planning on Thursday night at 6 to return. If I can meet before then, I'll post it. By the way, just so you know, Misty Porch is our learning coach, and here you have her times this week: Tuesday, tomorrow night, Wednesday, and that's good. Thursday night I'll be having a lecture. So tonight, if you have any questions, you can go there. She can set up a private room for all the students who want to just focus on this class. So just ask her to set up. If you get there and you have other students who want to work together, just ask her to set up a private breakout session for APP 242. And then you guys can go there and hang out and work together on your assignments. And then if you have any questions, you can jump into her room. If she's not busy, she can come down and help you out. Sound good?
Can we still sign in?
Yeah, you're welcome to come to this live lecture room too.
You're the only teacher that's let us do that.
Yeah, there's no reason.
All the other ones were locked.
Locked?
Yeah, if the teacher's not there, you don't get in, period.
Oh, well, I think mine's, you guys have been able to get into mine with
Yes, I got in just fine.
Yeah, that's fine. You guys are welcome to use our live lecture room whenever you want.
So then, okay, you guys, if you need help, some of you have my phone number. You can email me, and if I figure it out, I'll make sure you know, okay?
You're so thoughtful.
I try.
By the way, I'm recommending DJ for being a student tutor. So You're welcome to use this live lecture room, or like I said, you can go to the Learning Success Student Success Center and log in there and have Misty make up a room for you. Either one works. All right, let's call it a night, everybody. Thank you for showing up and being here and being attentive. I appreciate it very much. Remember, no deadline for, or no late penalty for week 2 assignment.
Have a good night, Chip.
Thanks, DJ. You too. Yeah, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. That's correct, Sally.
Mountain time?
MST.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Thursday night.
Full time. I don't know. For some reason, some days. Yeah, I'm really worried about this assignment. I'm going to work on it some more. And like I don't know if you noticed, but I'm going to take really good notes. And if I have a bunch of issues, I'll make sure you know.
Yeah. Do you just do it on paper?
My notes,
Yeah.
I put them on paper and then I type them up
Okay.
because I used to be a secretary. Beth, if you have CS6, yes, you should be able to follow the book. I hope.
That's true. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording.